President Reagan's team is taking a close look at U.S. relations with our neighbors in Central and South America, weighing hemispheric defense needs, along with human rights and reports of corruption among certain of the countries to the south. For that reason, this report on the Minister of Cocaine takes on a special relevance. The Minister of Cocaine is the central figure in the most lucrative cocaine operation in the world, in Bolivia, source of 80% of the cocaine on this earth. Because it's an illegal business operating from a foreign country, it's impossible to pinpoint exactly how much money he and his countrymen make from the drug trade. The best guess is that it's around $1 billion a year, and the man you're about to meet has been taking a big personal cut of that. His name is Luis Arce Gomez, or more precisely, Colonel Luis Arce Gomez. Until just 3 days ago, he was Minister of the Interior in the government of Bolivia. He was the man charged with enforcing his country's drug laws, though he is himself a drug dealer. Late last year, the minister visited Washington to win friends in the incoming Reagan administration and to try to obtain recognition for Bolivia's military government headed by General Garcia Mesa, who had seized power in a coup last July. At his hotel, we told Colonel Arce Gomez that he had been named as his country's key drug dealer.
If this is true, where is the proof? These are nothing but allegations directed against me personally and against my government. We are absolutely certain in our own minds that they are merely a fabrication of the various Latin American groups on the extreme left.
Colonel Arce Gomez's chief accuser is Arizona Senator Dennis DeConcini, who sits on the Senate subcommittee that allocates foreign aid.
I think Arce Gomez has got some real problems, Mike. He's in the big league of transporting cocaine all over the world, certainly to the United States. We do have information that money has changed hands on numerous occasions from drug traffickers to Arce Gomez. And that, to me, I'm satisfied is substantiated.
Well, what you're saying is that the government of Garcia Mesa, Arce Gomez's Minister of Interior, that they are all accomplices in a cocaine smuggling scheme.
I don't see any information that would lead you to anything else.
We cannot be involved in the drug trafficking business for one reason. We are upright people, and we always tell the truth. When you tell the truth and people hold some kind of grudge against you, it's often the case that you will be the target for attack. What I've said, and I repeat, is that Senator DeConcini has been used by Castroite communists and other Latin American communist groups. The coca leaf is grown in the mountains of central Bolivia, where for centuries it has been chewed by the peasants for its mild narcotic effect. The coca plantation owners must have a permit from the Ministry of Interior to grow and transport the coca. And DEA sources report that Colonel Arce Gomez's ministry now levies a tax of $40 on each bale of coca leaves, of which the minister himself takes a $10 cut, bringing him an estimated $1.5 million a year from this source alone. The U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration estimates that Bolivia now grows 4 times as much coca as it can legally consume at home. The rest goes principally to the United States as cocaine. One hears that to all intents and purposes, the importation of cocaine from Bolivia into the United States is now out of control.
That's an accurate representation.
DEA Chief Peter Bensinger.
There's more coca being grown than coffee. People are pulling the coffee plants out of the ground and putting in coca.
The real money-making begins with the illegal processing of the coca leaves into cocaine. First, the bales are soaked in kerosene, either in factories or in makeshift vats out in the countryside. The cocaine base, or paste, is extracted, and this in turn is refined into pure cocaine hydrochloride, worth $60,000 a kilo in the United States. And business has never been better.
The U.S. cocaine market is a $20 billion market. The raw material will sell for well over $1 billion, leaving Bolivia. And the Ministry of the Interior is charged with the responsibility in Bolivia to destroy illegal coca production. The fact that it's doubled, the fact that it's increasing, it is a major source of illicit, ill-gotten gain, is occurring because the Ministry of the Interior is not living up to their legal responsibility.
You seem to be saying that the government of Bolivia is simply not interested in stopping the cocaine trade.
It wouldn't exist if the government was as committed as it says it is. Clearly.
How does the cocaine get here? In air taxis like this one. And the minister has a piece of this action, too. Colonel Arce Gomez is a partner in an air taxi operation with Bolivia's military attaché in Caracas, Venezuela, Colonel Norberto Salamon.
One of them fell out of the sky on a trip to Trinidad with in excess of 300 kilos. That plane was traced as part of this taxi service owned by Luis Arce Gomez and Mr. Solomon. Just recently, another one of their planes had a little mechanical problem and crashed in Venezuela. That one happened to have 800 kilos of cocaine on board.
Colonel Arce Gomez denies any involvement with the crashed air taxis, but last month in Bolivia, 60 Minutes located a series of Interior Ministry files that had supposedly been destroyed by Colonel Arce Gomez when he took office. Those files include insurance details on that crashed plane carrying the 300 kilos of cocaine mentioned by Senator DeConcini. The files show that Norberto Salamon, Colonel Arce Gomez's partner, tried to collect insurance money on that crashed plane. As Minister of the Interior, Colonel Arce Gomez is the kingpin controlling police and intelligence operations, as well as Bolivia's drug eradication program. But he's not the only government official in the cocaine business. This is Colonel Ariel Coca, Minister of Education and Culture. We asked Colonel Arce Gomez about him. Colonel Ariel Coca, the Minister of Education. Friend of yours.
Sí, es mi amigo.
He was implicated in a 100-kilo seizure of cocaine in Panama a year ago, no?
Eso es completamente falso.
That is entirely false, if you care to check with the Panamanian authorities. Colonel Coca, the Minister of Education, has never been to Panama. Let me say again that I'd like you to investigate it yourself. Colonel Coca has never been to Panama, and he was never caught with that amount of cocaine.
I haven't said that he was in Panama. What I ask is, was he not implicated in the seizure of 100 kilos of cocaine in Panama a year ago?
The newspapers reported that he was caught in Panama with cocaine, but this has never been proved. We investigated this matter in depth. The authorities in Panama confirmed that Colonel Coca had never been there. That is why we can speak with a clear, strong voice on this point. We hold the truth in our hands.
But in 1979, Colonel Coca was named by the pilot of a light aircraft forced down in Panama as the source of 100 kilos of cocaine found on board. The pilot was his brother-in-law. Another fact, Bolivian Interior Ministry files on drug traffickers show that air taxis routinely land and load their cargo of cocaine at a jungle ranch co-owned by Colonel Coca. This is General Hugo Echeverria, commander of the 2nd Army Corps in Santa Cruz. We asked Colonel Arce Gomez about him, too. You know Colonel Hugo Echeverria?
Yes, I know General Echeverria, commander of the 2nd Army Corps.
In Santa Cruz.
En Santa Cruz.
Also named by DeConcini, Senator DeConcini, as a link in the drug chain.
Esa es una insidia vil.
That is a vile lie, an unspeakable lie. General Echeverria is a worthy and respected member of the armed forces, a man without the slightest blemish on his character, a strong man, an upright man. It's obvious that someone of that caliber could not be involved with the mafia.
He is providing the military transportation and the protection in that part of Bolivia for this continued activity.
General Echeverria.
That's correct. There is a mafia running that province, and there is a general there with a strong army influence and troops and bases and transportation, plus an international airfield. And the cocaine is coming out to there in the kilo amounts going to Venezuela, Colombia, and the United States.
This is Santa Cruz, home city to General Echeverria and Colonel Coca. It is the cocaine capital of the world. The million-dollar homes incongruously prosperous looking in a country with the lowest individual income in Latin America. It was here last May that the DEA mounted what was to be their biggest ever drug sting. The target, seen here in a DEA sketch, Roberto Suarez, cousin of Colonel Arce Gomez. Suarez is reputedly the world's biggest cocaine supplier and was apparently operating with Bolivian government connivance. On May 18th, an old commuter plane carrying DEA agents posing as big mafia buyers left Florida for Bolivia. 3 days later, at a jungle airstrip, it picked up 850 pounds of cocaine base, street value $300 million in the United States. The supplier, Roberto Suarez, the cousin of Colonel Arce Gomez. The payment to Suarez, $9 million in cash, was due to be collected from a South Miami bank once the plane was airborne. But the man who came to collect it in Miami wasn't Suarez. Instead, he was an emissary, Alfredo Gutierrez, former president of the Santa Cruz Chamber of Commerce. The DEA filmed him as he walked into the bank. He was arrested and held in Miami jail on $3 million bond. Within days, 9 affidavits from Bolivia were filed in Miami court testifying to Gutierrez's good character, and as a result, his bond was reduced to $1 million. Assistant U.S. Attorney Scott Miller.
Affidavits from Bolivia were brought up here in Mr. Gutierrez's behalf. One of the affidavits was from General Echeverria, who is a general in the Second Army of Bolivia in Santa Cruz.
He's commander of Second Army.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
And also from a Colonel Coca, who was with the Bolivian Air Force in Santa Cruz.
All of these people testify that Alfredo Gutierrez was a man of good reputation who would not skip bail.
That's correct.
And he skipped.
He skipped.
Skipped how much?
$1 million cash.
The affidavits from Colonel Coca and General Echeverria had somehow overlooked the fact that Gutierrez, the man who jumped bail, had been a documented cocaine trafficker since 1974. And, says Scott Miller, there were indications of Bolivian government involvement even while the sting was underway.
During the day when the transaction actually occurred, which is the 23rd of May, 1980, our plane was in the air, leaving Santa Cruz, heading north. As soon as they found out that Gutierrez was arrested, there was an all-points warning put out in Bolivia to seize the plane. That day, Mr. Suarez called us from Santa Cruz, called us on an undercover phone here at the DEA office, and stated that he was calling from the Air Force headquarters in Santa Cruz, Bolivia.
And that Air Force headquarters is headed by Colonel Ariel Coca?
Colonel Coca, who gave us the affidavit.
In any case, the DEA undercover aircraft landed safely back in Miami and unloaded the biggest haul in the history of drug enforcement. So much cocaine that it had to be taken away by pickup truck. But the question remained, how could a civilian, Roberto Suarez, enlist the help of the Bolivian Air Force to try and retrieve a plane load of his own cocaine? We asked Colonel Arce Gomez whether his cousin Roberto Suarez is a drug dealer.
As Minister of the Interior at this moment, I cannot tell you whether he has anything to do with drugs or not. It's a confidential matter, and to discuss it would cut across the investigation now underway.
But police files from his own ministry show that Roberto Suarez was arrested in Bolivia in 1976 carrying pure cocaine. And in 1979, he was named by arrested Brazilian traffickers as their chief source of supply. Neither case against him has been pursued by the present Bolivian government. Are Colonel Coca and General Echeverria in the DEA files, to your knowledge?
Yes, they are.
Is Luis Arce Gomez himself in your DEA file down there?
Yes, we're aware of Mr. Arce Gomez.
Last Thursday, news came from Bolivia that President Garcia Mesa had removed Arce Gomez as Minister of the Interior and Colonel Ariel Coca as Education Minister. Washington sources say the dismissals were aimed at improving Bolivia's image with the Reagan team in the hope that U.S. economic and military aid to Bolivia, which had been cut off by President Carter, will be resumed by President Reagan. But these same Washington sources point out that the so-called cocaine coup, which propelled Garcia Mesa into office last July, was financed by drug money, and that President Garcia Mesa himself has been implicated in the drug trade.